I never thought peace would come from losing everything I thought I needed. One overheard phone call changed my life and revealed the truth about the people I called family. What started as betrayal became the beginning of my freedom. Welcome to Tales by Gavanna, where every story proves that sometimes walking away is the most powerful revenge of all. I'm Naomi, 29, Black American, and until last week I would have sworn I understood my family. One quiet evening proved me wrong. I'd just ended what should have been a routine chat with my parents when the line didn't disconnect. Their voices stayed on my speaker, unfiltered, unguarded, as they talked with my sister. My father's tone was icy, almost robotic. Being under her roof is miserable. We're only there because she bankrolls everything. Before the words could even settle, my sister's laugh sliced through. Mean, bright, practiced. The phone dug into my palm as my heartbeat kicked hard enough to blur the room. I didn't cry, didn't yell. I just sat there while every sentence etched itself into me like a blade. They assumed I'd hung up. They assumed I was oblivious. I was listening in real time. The people who raised me weren't seeing a daughter. They were seeing an ATM. My sister's laugh wouldn't stop echoing. Each sound said I mattered only as long as I paid. I stayed frozen long after the call went dead, staring at the black screen. Had it always been like this? Were the "we're so proud of you" speeches just receipts with sprinkles? I couldn't answer. I only knew that a line had been drawn, and there was no stepping back over it. Morning came, and I moved through the kitchen like an actor who hadn't had time to rehearse. Coffee. Toast. Pan on. Flip a pancake. Wipe a counter. My hands were steady even as my chest felt hollow. My dad, Harlan, shuffled in first, grabbed a mug, and didn't look at me. Mornin'. Barely above a breath. He hid inside the sports page, as if paper could block last night's truth. I watched him gulp his coffee too fast, like he needed to be anywhere but under my eyes. My mom, Lorraine, arrived with a smile so glossy it squeaked. She chirped about a neighbor's new SUV, how cute the trim was, how sleek the dashboard looked. Her laugh landed 2 beats too loud. Overcompensating. Polishing a mask. Then my sister, Portia, drifted in, thumbs glued to her screen. A grunt for hello. No glance at the breakfast I'd set out. Her feed, her DMs, her image, always center stage. The clothing brand she swore was on pause had been almost ready for as long as I could remember. I kept moving but started clocking details. Dad's restless fingers, Mom's helium-light chatter, Portia's bored indifference. Familiar faces, yes, but suddenly foreign. We're a Black American family that always claimed to be close. I had believed it. I'd even bought a big place in Brookhaven, Georgia, nearly 2 summers ago so we could live together after my grandfather died and left me a cushion. I covered the mortgage, utilities, groceries, plus Mom's little splurges. Dad retired early. Mom, too. Portia, older than me by a few years, leaned into entrepreneur while I paid the bills because that's what families do. Now, everything tasted different. I remembered Dad last month, asking about my savings with a casual tone that felt surgical. I remembered Mom nudging me to take them to a white tablecloth spot, just this once, then just again. Portia never offered a chip in, always between launches. I had told myself they were just struggling. While I scrubbed a pan, I opened my notes app under the counter and started a list. Dad won't meet my eyes. Mom's cheer feels painted on. Portia, phone, phone, phone. More lines followed. Dad probing about my investments. Mom suddenly curious about my bonus. Portia busy but never working. The picture forming in those bullet points made my stomach knot. I didn't have the whole story yet, but I was done pretending I couldn't see the edges. Later, I caught Portia closing my laptop on the kitchen island when she thought I wasn't looking. Checking the weather, she said, too quick. My gut tightened again. I drove to my software job and wrote code on autopilot, but my head stayed in the kitchen. Last winter I'd surprised Mom with a coat she'd eyed for months. She'd hugged me and called me her anchor. Dad clapped my shoulder and told me I made him proud. Portia pocketed a generous business envelope with a breezy, "You know I'll make this back." I used to feel warm after moments like that. Today I felt harvested. That night I added one more line to my growing list. Portia tried to peek at my laptop. I wasn't ready to accuse anyone. Not yet. What I needed were facts. Quiet ones. Strong ones. The kind no one could laugh away. By midweek, the questions started coming wrapped in small talk. Harlan leaned across the breakfast table, coffee steaming between us. How's that index account, Nye? Market treating you decent? His voice aimed for casual, but his eyes kept skittering away like he'd rehearsed the script and still forgot his lines. I shrugged. Fine. Then I pivoted to the weather. He let it drop, but the silence felt weighted, like he was waiting for me to slip and hand him numbers. That afternoon, Lorraine floated in with glossy bags, 2 handbags, a silk wrap, and heels that could pay a utility bill on their own. Little pick-me UPS, she sang, unboxing them on my counter as though the kitchen were a boutique. You work so hard, baby. We should enjoy life together. The way she said, we made something behind my ribs tighten. Portia sprawled on the sectional, legs tucked under a throw, phone lit up like a stage light. Any movement on your line? I asked, keeping my tone featherlight. Soon, she murmured, thumb flicking. I'm in planning mode. Planning looked a lot like scrolling. That evening I opened the file drawer in my home office. Neat stacks I usually never questioned. Receipts. Statements. Autopays. All tidy, because I made them tidy. I laid papers across the desk and breathed through it. There, a $360 receipt from a steakhouse I'd never set foot in. Another $1,480 at a boutique with a name I didn't recognize. And 3 separate food delivery charges to the house on days I'd stayed late at work, each small enough to be forgettable, together big enough to matter. A premium streaming bundle I'd never ordered. When I totaled a single month, my jaw tightened. This wasn't oops. This was a system. I added fresh lines to my hidden list. Harlan keeps circling money topics. Lorraine's treats align with mystery charges. Portia's planning equals purchases with my name on the bill. I wanted to be wrong. I wanted some simple explanation. But the arithmetic kept dragging me forward. 2 days later, a different kind of proof surfaced. I walked in from a run just in time to see Portia tuck a credit card statement into her tote. Organizing the mail, she said, smile bright but thin. Appreciate it, I replied, filing the detail away with the others. At dinner, the chorus grew bolder. Your mom's phone has been glitchy, Harlan observed, carving brisket with unnecessary force. Maybe you can help her upgrade. Portia's eyes glittered over her glass, as if on cue. Lorraine giggled. Only if it's not too much trouble. I excused myself, reached my room, and typed. Lorraine concealed a statement. Phone upgrade hint from both. Pressure increasing. The next afternoon, code at work blurred into gray lines. I pinged my friend Danica, an art director I'd known since freshman year, and asked to meet at a coffee shop in West Midtown. Danica arrived in a denim jumpsuit and hoop earrings, laptop under her arm. The kind of friend who turned chaos into clean lines. I told her everything. The eavesdropped call, the purchases, the practiced smiles. She didn't gasp. She didn't rush to defend them. She just listened, then squeezed my hand. You're not crazy, Nye. Get the facts. Protect your name, your accounts, your peace. Paper before feelings. Paper before feelings, I echoed, the words clicking into place like a lock. On the drive home, I sifted through old memories I'd kept wrapped in softness. Lorraine saving up for Portia's studio classes when money was tight. Me getting into a competitive program with the we'll celebrate later. That never came because Portia needed a bailout for her latest dream. I'd told myself grown-up life would even the ledger. I bought the Brookhaven house. I made our lives stable. Surely, that meant we were equal now. But the pattern looked older than the mortgage. Portia was the star. I was the safety net. Not love, convenience. I parked, walked straight to my office, and opened my laptop with a steadiness that surprised me. I logged into every account tied to my name and pulled statements going back 8 months. Transfers I hadn't authorized leapt off the screen. Neat chunks, $3, $200 here, $1,650 there, labeled with vague descriptors like household or consulting. Several landed in the same recipient account, a small LLC that, with 2 clicks, revealed its registered manager, Portia. My mouth went dry. I cross-checked dates. The $3,200 withdrawal lined up with Lorraine's just a little splurge. The $1,650 coincided with one of Harlan's tender "We're proud of you" dinners. Another series of $620 miscellaneous repeats matched weeks Portia had spoken about, retooling the line. This wasn't mindless spending. It was a funnel. I sat very still and let the reality cover me from shoulders to ankles. Then I started moving again. New passwords for every login. 2-factor authentication on everything. I opened a fresh savings account at a different institution the next morning, one with me as the single owner and no attached autopays, no household access. When I got home, I moved a clean block of funds, mid-6 figures from my inheritance, into that safe harbor and shut the laptop with a quiet click that felt like a door closing. Lorraine caught me in the kitchen that Sunday, a cutting board under her hands, bell peppers bright and slick. "Baby, about those transfers," I said, tone calm. "Do you know anything about them?" Her knife hovered, then landed with a smile that never reached her eyes. "Just helping your sister find her feet. You know how family is. We share. Gifts." I asked, voice still even. "Without asking me?" "Don't make this a thing," she said, a laugh perched at the edge of her words. "We're on the same team." I nodded, and for the first time in days my mind felt crystal clear. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just logged her answer as Exhibit A. By evening, my list had a final line for the day. Confirmed. Transfers labeled as gifts. Recipient LLC is Portia's. Facts before feelings. Paper before pain. And now I had both. Sunday dinner smelled of roasted chicken and rosemary, the kind of meal Lorraine used to say brings everyone together. The table gleamed under the pendant lights, china polished, candles burning low. I sat across from them, every heartbeat sharp enough to count. Lorraine passed the mashed potatoes with that same perfect smile. Harlan carved quietly. Portia's eyes stayed on her phone, thumb swiping through a feed she clearly loved more than this family. I'd practiced my words all afternoon, and when the right silence finally opened, I let them fall. "I heard your conversation last week," I said evenly. "You didn't hang up." The room froze. Harlan's knife stopped mid-cut, Lorraine's hand tightened around her fork, and Portia's phone slid from her grip. "What are you talking about, Nye?" Lorraine's voice was high, brittle. I met her gaze. "You said living with me was awful. You said you stayed for my money." Portia's laugh sliced through the quiet, same tone from that night. "Oh, come on. You're taking that out of context." Harlan cleared his throat. "We were joking, sweetheart. You know we appreciate you." I let the word joking hang between us, sour and hollow. "Then maybe you can joke about the transfers too," I said, pulling my phone from my pocket. Thousands of dollars from my account to Portia's business account, without my consent. Lorraine's face lost color. Harlan's shoulders stiffened. "We thought you'd want to help," she murmured. "By stealing?" I asked, voice low but steady. "When I asked, you called it a gift. Now you're calling it help. Which lie should I write down first?" Portia rolled her eyes. "You're so dramatic. You act like you're better than us because you make tech money." "Better?" I repeated, sliding my phone across the table. The screen showed a screenshot of her public post calling me stingy and controlling. "You mean this?" Her face strained. Lorraine gasped softly. I stood. "You mocked me online. You drained my accounts and you lied to my face. I'm done." "Nye, calm down," Harlan said, trying to steady his tone. "We're family." I shook my head. "Family doesn't rob you. Family doesn't laugh while they do it." I looked each of them in the eye. My father with his quiet guilt, my mother with trembling fingers, and Portia with that defiant glare that no longer intimidated me. "I want you all out. Tomorrow morning. This house isn't yours to live in anymore." The clatter of Lorraine's fork on porcelain echoed. You don't mean that, she whispered. Oh, I do. Portia smirked, bitterness curling at the edges. Good luck being alone, Naomi. You'll regret it. I met her smirk with silence, then turned away. In my room, door locked, I opened my notes and typed the last entry of the night. They're leaving. I'm free. I stared at those words until they stopped looking like rebellion and started looking like peace. By sunrise, the house was unrecognizably quiet. The coffee maker hissed alone in the kitchen, no overlapping chatter, no Lorraine humming off-key, no Portia tapping her acrylic nails on the counter. When I finally stepped out of my room, half-empty spaces greeted me. The floral throw blanket Lorraine loved, gone. Harlan's glasses that used to sit on the coffee table, gone. Portia's charger, her constant mess of wires, gone. They'd left before dawn, just like they promised. Or maybe like they feared. The silence didn't feel empty, it felt earned. As I made coffee, my phone buzzed repeatedly. Messages lit the screen. Mom, we're sorry, Naomi. We never meant to hurt you. Can we talk? Dad, you're overreacting, baby girl. Let's fix this as a family. Portia, you didn't have to kick us out. Call me. I stared at the texts until the words blurred. Then I set the phone down and walked away. I'd heard all their versions of sorry. None of them came before the consequences. By noon, I sat in a downtown Atlanta law office, modern, clean, with rows of quiet efficiency. My attorney, a sharp black woman named Ms. Green, listened as I laid out every detail, the transfers, the call, the stolen funds, the online mockery. She nodded as she took notes. We'll lock down your assets. I'll file a notice restricting any further access to your accounts and issue a formal letter for unauthorized use. You've done the right thing by coming now. Her professionalism steadied me. For the first time in months, I felt like I was taking back the steering wheel. When I returned home that evening, I walked through each room slowly. The kitchen where Lorraine used to gossip about neighbors, the living room where Harlan used to watch the game, the hallway where Portia once called me sis, before asking for another favor. The ache was there, sure, but under it was something sturdier. Peace, maybe. I sat on the couch, pulled my laptop close, and checked the balance of my new private account. Seeing those numbers safe, untouched, gave me a different kind of comfort. Not pride, just protection. It wasn't about money anymore. It was about finally refusing to be the family's crutch. That night, I opened a blank page and started journaling. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're survival. And I meant every word. 6 months later, my life looked nothing like the house I'd left behind. I'd sold it, clean, final, mine to decide, and moved into a modest apartment on the south side of Atlanta. It wasn't grand, but it was mine. The walls held peace instead of tension, and every light switch, every grocery list, every decision came from me. My days fell into a rhythm, coding from my small home office, late-night debugging sessions, morning jogs with my earbuds in, and no one calling my name from another room. Evenings were for me, movies, quiet dinners, and playlists that didn't remind me of anyone else's moods. Danica dropped by one Friday with takeout and an old-school playlist from our college days. This space fits you, she said, grinning as she unpacked the cartons. You finally look settled. We ate noodles and laughed until midnight, swapping stories about her new design clients and my latest tech project. For the first time in years, laughter didn't carry guilt or obligation. It just was. News of my family trickled in through mutual acquaintances. Harlan had picked up a part-time job at a home improvement store. Lorraine sold her old jewelry online to cover bills. The designer purses and weekend getaways were gone. Their new apartment was smaller, their world quieter. I didn't feel vengeful. I just felt done. Detached, in a way that felt merciful. Portia's downfall hit hardest. That post she made, calling me controlling and stingy, had backfired spectacularly. Friends and followers called her out for hypocrisy. Her fashion venture folded when her last investor pulled out. Her online presence faded from daily updates to silence. No more filters. No more drops coming soon. Just emptiness where the noise used to be. Sometimes I caught myself wondering if she'd ever understand the difference between help and exploitation, but I never reached out to find out. I'd learned something more valuable than any inheritance, that love doesn't excuse betrayal, and loyalty doesn't mean self-sacrifice. Protecting my peace, my time, my bank account, those were acts of survival, not selfishness. One quiet evening, I sat on my balcony with a mug of tea, the city lights glowing like distant embers. The air was still. My phone buzzed once, a notification from my YouTube channel, where I'd started sharing stories about boundaries, money, and hard lessons learned. The comment read, "This story hit home. I needed to hear this." I smiled. Maybe my pain had a purpose after all. To everyone listening to this story, thank you for staying until the end. Have you ever had to choose peace over family? Share your story below, and don't forget to subscribe. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't anger. It's freedom. Sometimes the hardest lesson life gives isn't about loss. It's about clarity. Naomi learned that peace doesn't always come wrapped in forgiveness. Sometimes it comes when you finally stop explaining yourself to people who only listen for what they can take. She didn't need revenge that screamed. She needed peace that stayed. And in the quiet, she found both. If this story hit you deep, don't just scroll past. Tap subscribe to Tales by Giovanna, where every episode delivers powerful stories of betrayal, redemption, and poetic justice from voices that deserve to be heard. Leave a comment below, tell us, have you ever had to walk away from the people you loved just to save yourself? Subscribe today, because sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't payback, it's peace.